Hello, lacrosse friends, and welcome to Lacrosse Link on Lax Sports Network every Thursday at 8 p.m. Thanks for being with us. You can also check us out in the archive section in one of the trays on Lax Sports Network, right below where you're watching live, and on the Lacrosse Link YouTube page. This week, I am joined by the two leading scorers in terms of points per game in the National Lacrosse League to this point in the season. A pair of star righty forwards, Dhane Smith of the Buffalo Bandits and Ryan Lee of the Colorado Mammoth. Both have had very interesting journeys to this point in their careers, and both had pretty wild games on the weekend. Of course, the Buffalo game last weekend, the 18-17 overtime win over the New York Riptide, was just a wild ride back and forth. Meanwhile, the entire season has been a bit of a wild ride for the Colorado Mammoth. You know, they go down 7-0 to Vancouver. They come back and win 18-15. Then they play Vancouver again. Their next game this past weekend, they only give up 4 goals. They win 9-4. What to make of it? Who knows? That's part of why we all love sports and lacrosse in particular. I'm Steven Samp, your host. So pleased you're with us here on Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse. Enjoy the show with Dhane Smith and Ryan Lee, and stick around for the rundown where we look at news from around the world in the sport.
Beautiful play, Aaron Gray. He is having himself a tournament. He made the save regardless of the crease call, and that shows he is at his acrobatic. The middle, it just bounces off, but it's picked up and scored.
For the biggest, that's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest, that's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
Welcome to Lacrosse Link, Dhane Smith. Great to have you on the show, and pretty excited to talk about a very strange game you had last weekend.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, and looking forward to talking about it.
It was really odd. Just, you come in as an undefeated first place team, you're playing the last place team with just one win. And I don't think anyone thought it was going to be a walkover. I don't think you guys took New York lightly, because you've seen how competitive they've been. But at the same time, it's hard not to expect that Buffalo's going to win this game against the Riptide. And as the game goes on, I felt like I just thought, you guys are ahead, and then they start coming back. I'm like, at some point Buffalo's going to do what they have to do and win the game. And then when they got a 7-goal run, 6 goals in the fourth quarter, and then it gets down to the last 4 minutes or so, it just hit me like New York could win this. And I'm wondering if you guys just always felt you had it in you, you were able to come back, or if there was a point where you guys thought, oh damn, we got to get going here.
Yeah, you know what? They're a great team. We knew coming in, those games are a little bit tougher. Their record's obviously 1-5 or 1-4 at that time. And we knew we had a kind of battle. Every team wants to beat us at this point. That we're 4-0, and now we're 5-0. That being said, they've only lost games by 1 or 2 goals. I think they have 7 goals against other teams they've lost by tops. So they're a great team. They have a great offense. They have a great defense. And in that game, it was kind of crazy. A lot of ups and downs. I know we got up by 3 or 4, but we couldn't get past that point. Steve Orleman, he played unbelievable. Even though we put 18 up on him, he had some timely saves. And obviously when they went on that run, it was tough. We took a lot of stupid penalties. It was tough, obviously, with the storm. We got in Friday night, but that was no excuse, because they're in the same situation. They might have practiced, but that being said, it was tough to kind of just sit around on Saturday and do nothing, and then have a 1:00 game that we weren't used to. But again, give them credit. They're a great team.
And one of the interesting things to me, looking at professional sports, I think one of the big things is confidence and how you're feeling at that moment, how it's feeling, how things are working. And I think a lot of people who aren't at the level of professional athletes just think, you guys are all so good. You're all such great players at the sport that, of course, you'd all have confidence all the time. But in reality, it's more like for everyone else, right? There's ebbs and flows, and there are times when you do question, right, about, how things are working out.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? When we were down kind of 3 goals with however many minutes there was left, it was kind of like, okay, now we got to go here. We got to make something happen. And you always question pulling the goalie and stuff like that. I've never been a fan of pulling the goalie. I believe in our offense. I think we could put the ball in the net, which we are able to do. But it's one of those things that's it's very tough to kind of think you're still in it when there's only 3 minutes. But lacrosse is a game of runs. Like, they went on a run, and we knew we were going to get on a run. We have a great offense, and the best thing about our offense is everybody can be a threat, and you saw that obviously putting up 18 goals, and everyone kind of contributed. And it's hard to. I remember the last play, the overtime winner. I was like, I'm shooting this ball. I don't care. I'm shooting this ball. And then I like hesitated, and I like kind of collapsed on me, and Kluch was wide open, and he was struggling to score all game, and we believed in him, and he took a beautiful shot, and it went in the back of the net.
It's funny because, he was the only forward who hadn't scored a goal in regulation time. And I thought the replay was great that showed after he scored that goal. And they showed the replay where the camera's like right behind him, that perfect angle. And you see the lane he saw, you see the head of the stick go through, and you see the ball just ping in off the post. Like, it was a perfect shot.
Yeah, if you asked him, it was funny because the way he reacts for a second, he thought he missed the net. He didn't know it went in the net, and then he realized it went in the net because everybody started celebrating, and it was unbelievable for him.
What a game. And I guess from your perspective, not liking pulling the goalie, it was good. There was a bit of a moot point because you had the power plays because, they hit the major and then the holding the stick minor. So you have the 5-on-3, and you're still in a 5-on-4 in the final seconds, and you're on the power play in overtime, which is a pretty unusual circumstance to have that string of power play opportunities in that situation.
Right. And you know what's crazy, and not many people probably realize that, like, that 5-minute major, it couldn't have happened for us a better guy, because he was winning a majority of the faceoffs, and without him, if he was in the lineup, he'd be winning those draws, and those are timely draws that we won, and we were able to get the ball back. Even though we had a power play, we wouldn't have had the ball as much. So that was huge in that sense. But credit them; they kept with us the whole game. They're a great team, and every team you can't take for granted at the end of the day.
And it's a good point you make about Thornburg being the guy, and the fact that it's a major. Even if you get the 2 goals on that major to release a player, he still has to spend the 5 minutes. So you knew you're going to have him not there to start the overtime as well.
Right. Yeah. And that definitely helped us a little bit, because we were struggling at draws, and obviously we were winning them at the end. So that was big.
I'm curious, just looking at your numbers, you're actually a quick perusal. I mean, it's such a strange year. Different people have played different numbers of games, but I'm pretty sure you're leading the league in points per game with 35 through 5 games. Ryan Lee is right behind you with 34. And but the one thing is, it's a bit of a difference, a bit of more leaning towards assists this year than your general career. And I know people think of the year you broke the record, which was incredible. You had 72 goals among your 137 points, which was actually more than assists. But you still had 65 assists, it's near your career high, like right in that range that you've done several times, the 65 to 70 range. But normally your ratio has been like a 1-to-2, 1 goal to 2 assists. This year it's more of a 1-to-3. And I'm curious if that's just a factor of small sample size, or if it's a matter of you're just getting more assists because you're playing with such a great, well-rounded offense, or if there's anything you've actually consciously done because all those guys you're playing with, and made a point of feeding them a bit more if you've got more coverage.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's a little bit of everything, to be honest. I've kind of grown as a player. I feel like as more of a leader, and I feel like I don't need to score goals. I just need to put myself in the best position to make our team successful. And right now, it's assisting guys. And at the end of the day, our offense is so unselfish. And for me, my job's easy. I have the ball quite a bit. But that being said, I can just pass it to anybody on our offense, and they have a great chance to score the ball. So, yeah, it's a little bit different. I've been struggling a little bit to score. Obviously, I've been 1 or 2 goals a game, which is fine. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. We're 5-0. But that being said, the coach is putting us in the great positions to kind of be successful. And luckily enough, I'm able to kind of pass the ball to so many talented players.
So you guys, as you mentioned, you're 5-0. Moving forward, you've got Rochester next week, which again, that's a team on a 3-game losing streak, but you know how competitive they can be, how challenging it'll be. What's the process moving forward? Do you think about the unbeaten record, or are you just focused on 5 minutes at a time?
Yeah, well, last time we played them, they played us really well. I think we went on 4-goal run at the end, and it was like in the fourth quarter that we kind of made our move. So they're a great team. They made a lot of good roster moves over the COVID year and the year before, and they have a lot of talented players, so we can't take them for granted. Luckily enough, we do have them at home, which we feel a lot more confident with. Obviously, playing at Bandland, there's nothing like it. But again, going into every game, we have a target on our back. Everybody wants to beat us, and we got to go into the mindset thinking that it doesn't matter who we're playing. We need to treat them like it's a championship game or like it's a playoff game, because right now I think our last 2 games versus Georgia and New York, everybody had us winning it and winning by a lot. And both those games were way closer than we expected. So I think those are rude awakenings. But that being said, it took a lot for us to find ways to win, and that shows a great team.
Really appreciate you taking the time to come on, and looking forward to watching this team go through the rest of the season. I know you guys are focused one game at a time. Everyone else, though, I'm sure if you win a few more, is going to start talking about, will you lose a game? So we'll put that pressure on you. You can just deal with things as you normally do. And thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us, and we're looking forward to kind of keep it rolling.
Hi, this is Jaden with Al Anderson Source for Sports. Excited to tell you that we got all our new lacrosse product in for this upcoming season. Whether you're playing box or field, our lacrosse experts are going to make sure we get you into the right equipment to elevate your game. At Al Anderson Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
Okay, joining me on the show, the other right-handed forward who is at the top of the league. We've got Dhane Smith, who is first in the league in points per game with 35 in 5 games. Ryan Lee, hot on his heels with 34. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on Lacrosse Link.
Thank you for having me.
What a wild ride you and the Colorado Mammoth have had this year. Watching it from the outside, it's like, what is this team? And I'm curious about you guys. Just to recap for folks, you come out, you beat Georgia 16-7. Looking great. Then you go, you play San Diego, only score 4 goals, you lose 13-4. Then you play Panther City, you win 8-7 against an expansion team. So you're like, well, you get the win. Fall behind 7-0 to Vancouver in 4.5 minutes. Crazy comeback to win 18-15. And then you play Vancouver your next game, and you just give up 4. You have a great game. You guys get 9 and win. Like, such a wild ride. I'm curious what it's felt like for you guys to be on this. Do you have a sense of what's going on?
It's definitely been an interesting season, very different from many other seasons I've been a part of. I think we're just still working to find our identity, see who we are. It's still early in the season. I mean, we had the COVID year off. We're just getting back into it. We've had kind of a weird schedule with our New Year's Eve game getting canceled, and then we just had 2 weekends off. So it's almost like we haven't really been able to connect with each other, practice and games. So we have a pretty long stretch coming up now of constant games. So I think that's where we're going to find ourselves. And yeah, I don't know. We just have to kind of work and practice and put things together. I mean, the games that the first Vancouver game was nuts. I've never been a part of a game like that. To come back 7-0, and then for Wardo to only let 4 goals in on Saturday. I mean, it was he played amazing. Our we started off hot and then kind of evened out, which we kind of have to keep our foot on the gas. So I think we're still working on finding out who we are and how we work together. But I think it'll come. We'll get there.
That was kind of my next question coming out of that was, you can't argue with 4-1. You've got to be happy to have won 4 out of 5 games. But I mean, obviously you always want to be perfect, but 4 out of 5 is really good in a league where it's always hard to win. But do you have a sense internally, because I don't think anybody outside has a sense of the identity of the team. Do you have a sense internally of what the identity is, or is it like you said, you're still kind of finding that together?
We're still finding it together. We're going to be a team that grinds to get through every game. We're going to have close games. I mean, the first game you talked about with Georgia, I think we had like 5 shorthanded goals. So that's not going to happen every game. I mean, we're just going to have to grind through games. Our D is amazing. I would like to say the best in the league. So RO is going to have to put the ball in the net, and that's how we're going to win.
And I think that's been kind of part of the identity, is again, use that word, of the Mammoth for quite a while with Pat Coyle. I mean, it's not really surprising. He was such a great defensive player, and he does seem to have a very solid system. And to have a knack for finding people to plug in and just keep being successful at playing a way that just limits the opportunities for other teams. And of course, like you said, I mean, you've got Dylan Ward back there. You always have a chance to give up a four goal game, but not that that's going to happen every night. But it is pretty amazing the way it just guys keep kind of cycling in and picking it up and keeping things rolling.
Yeah, yeah. Our D coaches are amazing. I mean, Brider and Patty back there is something awesome. We have like new guys coming in, like a guy like Eric Turner, who's been on the team. He probably puts the most work in lacrosse of any player I've ever seen. And him finally getting to play this year and to show who he is amazing for him. He's a great player. And then rookies, guys like Ron John and Jalen Chester, for them to step in. Brett Craig going down with a season-ending injury, so for them to step in, our coaches know how to plug guys in, and it's working great. And
I mean, like you said, there's some new guys on the defensive end, a bunch of new guys on the offensive end as you're all getting used to each other, you know, and that can take a while to get consistency, right? I mean, things can click really well, and you've got tons of talent, so stuff's going to happen at times, but it seems like consistency is what you're really searching for now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We have, I think it's me, Eli, and Chris Wardle, who are the only guys that have been around. So for Digby, Zed, Sammy Leclaire, Connor Robinson, those new guys to come in, it's definitely, you notice it the first couple games trying to get on the same page, but we're working together. A bunch of us actually live down in here in Denver, so we can get the sticks in our hands during the week and kind of work on stuff. So that helps a lot, but we definitely do have a bunch of new guys on out, but I mean, we're putting up numbers, we have our ups and downs, but I mean, we got to keep working, like I said at the beginning, and we'll get there.
How are you enjoying living in Denver? Because it seems I've only been to the city once, I believe, and really enjoyed it. It just seemed like a very cool place. But everyone I ever talked to that lives there seems to just love it. Like, it's compared to other cities, people like other cities. It seems universal in Denver. The guys love it.
I mean, I'm biased, but I would say it's the best city to play in. I lived here my first year in 2017. Went back, got a job, and now I'm working from home. So I have the option to live out here this year, and it's amazing. I love it here. There's so much to do. You can you finish work and there's so many options. You go for hikes, you go for bike rides and stuff. The weather's great. Like, we had a blizzard 2 days ago, and then today it's like 16 and sunny. So it's kind of crazy.
You said your first year 2017. I was sure your first year was 2018.
So yeah, I got drafted 2017. It would have been the 2018 season. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait a second, did I have everything wrong? I was actually going to ask you about the draft, because you've been, obviously we've lost a bunch of time, but you've been among the top scorers in the league for a couple of years now. You've really, it feels like, kind of gone through that early process of finding your way, and you're one of the top guys. You put up some absolute highlight reel goals. But it seems like attention, recognition, whatever, has been a little bit slow to come. And I'm curious if you think that comes from, I look at the list of all the top scorers, and it seems like most of the guys are first round picks, some second round picks. As a third rounder, it almost feels like you had to prove yourself a little bit more before people are like, because, you know, if guys are first rounder, they're like, well, of course he's going to do this, and he gets the attention coming in. It seems like you've earned it. I'm wondering if you felt like you had to prove yourself a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always say I have a chip on my shoulder for going in the third round, which, you know, I wasn't a huge name coming out of junior. Like, I wasn't crazy well known like these guys that go in the first round. So I didn't really expect much. I honestly, coming into my first year, the 2018 season, I didn't even really know if I was going to play. And I got in the first couple games, and then healthy scratch, and then played a few. So I don't even know how many like six to 8 games that first year. So I also think that first year helped me a ton with kind of figuring out who I am. And like at RIT, I was always the guy that is going to play and is going to score. But coming into the NLL, it's like, you really got to prove yourself. So that first season was big for me. And it kind of made me realize that I actually have to put in a ton of work to get to where I want to be. And so that off season after the first year was a big one for me. I was playing a lot of lacrosse and trying to get better every day. So yeah, I mean, it's great to be where I am now, and those first couple of years helped me. but yeah, it's I'm happy I'm still getting to play. I didn't really know after that first year what was going to happen, but to be where I am now I'm very happy about it.
I think the process is interesting because, you're with Beaches, you get traded to Six Nations for a Minto Cup run, and they, I thought you were a very useful part of that team. You really contributed to the title, but they already had a bunch of stars established, right? So you come in and you're a guy fitting in, and then, you go out to Nanaimo, had a couple of great seasons of senior ball in Nanaimo, but again, a team that was a little off the radar, and, you were coming into a new situation. So you've had that experience of having to go and prove yourself elsewhere. Did that make you a bit more comfortable with it when you got to Colorado as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, I wasn't the guy on Six Nations. We had guys like Bomber, and a bunch of other guys that were just amazing players. So it wasn't the guy there. Got to Nanaimo, and it was like you said, we kind of flew under the radar. You're not the best team. Great organization. I really liked playing for Nanaimo. It was awesome. I lived out there for 2 years, but you don't get much kind of publicity because you're never in a above 500 team. So that kind of helped me. After the first year, it makes you realize that you can make a name for yourself, and you can kind of push yourself to be where you want to be. So yeah, those seasons of not being the best guy on the team really helped.
Well, it certainly paid off. Things are going great. And I mean, some of the goals that you're scoring, there was the one on the weekend again, where the caption that when they put it on Twitter was he in the air when he caught that? And it's like, of course he was. It's just like the one last year where he got the pass. Some of the things are incredible. And it's pretty exciting to see for folks to watch these games, and really appreciate you taking the time to come on, and look forward to watching what the rest of the season brings for you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, we are coming to the rundown, Lacrosse friends. Hope you enjoyed those interviews with Dhane Smith and Ryan Lee as much as I did. A couple of great guests, and really fun to have them both on. Two of the hottest righties in the game, two of the hottest players in the game this season in terms of scoring. And now we look at some of the news from around the world of lacrosse here on Lacrosse Link. And we're going to start out west, where the Western Lacrosse Association, the Senior A-League, held a draft lottery because, of course, we haven't had seasons. They haven't had seasons for a couple of years. So they were like, there's no way you can be fair going by the results from 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So they had a draft lottery, and the New Westminster Salmon Bellies won. At least they were pulled first. I don't know where you would want to be, because they pick first, you go through the order of the 7 teams, then it's Snakes. So their next pick is at number 14, the end of the second round. Would you rather be number 7 and have the back-to-back picks at 7 and 8? Would you like to be at 3? So you get still one of the top players, but you get back to your pick a little bit earlier, and then as it snakes around again. Now, of course, New West also gets pick 15, so they have the back-to-back there. I don't know if you're strategizing where you would want to be, but I do know it's great that the WLA is going again. They're talking about putting in a schedule soon. The draft itself will be held on February the 10th. It's going to be streamed. Just go to WLAlacrosse.com for the details. You can watch the stream. I don't know how teams pick players at this point when they haven't even been able to see guys play very much over the last couple of years. The difficulty is increased by multiples. And the BCJLL had their draft recently, the BC Junior League, drafting midget players who didn't get to play midget. because of 2 seasons of not really having lacrosse. So that must have been extremely difficult, but we know they're excited, getting ready to roll for what they hope is a regular season or more normal season. We will see. New Westminster had the first pick in that draft as well. They took Aiden McDonald. You can go to www.bcjall.com/2022-draft. Just play it back so you can hear it again, or we'll put it down below or up on the screen. But go check that out. You can see all the results, see if you recognize any of the players. I'm sure it took a lot of work for all the teams to prepare what they were going to do, and it's going to be challenging, but a lot of hope for all of these teams. I know I did read something recently about, the RMLL, the Rocky Mountain League in Alberta, Saskatchewan, talking about how the impacts are going to be felt for years of not getting to play for a couple of seasons. Players not coming back to the game, challenges with getting things rolling and getting players back in and back up to speed. So we'll see how everything plays out, but it is great news that things are happening. Speaking of things happening again, the Western Canada Junior B Tier 2 Championship is back underway. It will start this summer. It's been dormant for 25 years. A lot of people have put a lot of work into it. Guys like Randy Clough, Randy Trobak, Russ Shepard, and others have been working to make this happen. It will happen this summer, this August, in BC. Teams from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. It is Junior B Tier 2, so like Junior C in Ontario or B Tier 2 in the West, and giving them something more to play for. There have been so many teams dropping out. That's the RMLL was talking about. So this is really giving kids something beyond their regular season to play for and to strive for, and some good news. Speaking of good news, this time coming from the East, the Arena Lacrosse League Men's East Division finally ready to play after extended COVID protocols in Ontario kept the doors shut for a while. February 5th, the All East will kick off its season. The opening game, the Paris River Wolves visiting Millbrook to play the Peterborough Timbermen. I was speaking with founder and Commissioner Paul St. John. He pointed out it's been about 23 months since they were able to play. He actually knew to the day. I know, number of months, number of days, number of hours between games, as he said, but who's counting? But obviously they're very excited, very frustrated that they haven't been able to play, very excited to get going once again. Also, the college season, NCAA lacrosse. We talked about the preseason predictions, the rankings. Well, the season has now started. Bellarmine and Mercer kicked things off. Everyone's getting ready to get rolling. There is some big news, not good news, coming out of Syracuse with attack Owen Hiltz injured. Go to Inside Lacrosse to check it out. Just look up InsideLacrosse.com, throw in Owen Hiltz as a search command, and you'll see he's suffered an upper body injury in a scrimmage, and it sounds like he might be out for a while. Not great news. He was obviously a big part of their attack last year, expected to be an even bigger part this season, so we certainly wish well to Owen Hiltz and all of the NCAA players as they get rolling for their season, and hope that anyone who's injured recovers, especially Owen, and of course good luck to all the teams. And everyone stay healthy, have fun, and go get it for a great season. Speaking of great seasons, the National Lacrosse League is rolling, starting to find a rhythm in Week 8 with 7 games happening Week 9. This week there'll be another 7 games coming out, so lots of action happening. The teams are all starting to find the rhythm. You heard Ryan Lee talk about, our schedule has been crazy, but it's the same for everyone. Everyone's had crazy schedules. Calgary had 6 weeks between games. And you could see, they came out great and then had some trouble against San Diego. But, different teams have responded differently. But hopefully we get the rhythm going. We don't have more postponements, and we can keep things rolling and moving forward. Some great progress be coming, some great games, a lot of excitement happening. So hopefully that'll all keep building. And maybe the focal point this weekend is a home and home between the Georgia Swarm and Albany Firewolves. And so big with 2 teams playing each other in a back-to-back. If somebody sweeps, what a difference it could make positively for that team and negatively for the other team in what we all expected and what is definitely shaping up to be a hotly contested NLL East Division with 8 teams, only 4 of them assured to make the playoffs, a 5th possible. So going to be interesting to see how that week plays out. As always, if there's anything you'd like us to cover, you want us to know about, let us know here at Lacrosse Link. Just hit us up on the website, lacrosselink.com. There's a link to shoot us an email, send us a message through the site. I am Steven Stamp, your host. Thanks for being here on Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse. We'll see you next week.